Support for Just Seen It comes from Warner Archive Instant. Streaming hard-to-find movies and TV shows direct from the studio at WarnerArchiveInstant.com. Support for Just Seen It comes from Acorn, distributors of the detective drama Jack Taylor, starring Game of Thrones Ian Glenn. More information is available at acornonline.com/PTV. On this episode of Just Seen It, we review the zombie apocalypse thriller, World War Z.
I want to send you in with the team. Help Dr. Fossbach find whatever it is he needs.
I have never seen a zombie movie more tense, more suspenseful, more heart-pounding than this.
The return of Gru and his family in Despicable Me 2.
No.
Okay, that's not helping.
Everybody's back, everybody's still adorable. The story isn't as solid, but it's still fun.
Based on true events, Fruitvale Station.
What about you, Daddy?
Me? Maybe I'm gonna be fine.
This is a wonderfully dimensional view into a culture that's very often misrepresented.
And we head out to the Wild West for The Lone Ranger.
The men you seek think you are dead, Kimosabe.
There's just no unifying voice to this film.
All right here on Just Seen It. It seemed like a regular day for Jerry Lane and his family, but a massive viral outbreak begins turning humans into zombies.
Is this thing worldwide? Is anyone doing better than we are?
He must race to find a cure in order to save his family, himself, and the world in World War Z.
Hi, I'm Salim.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Brenna, and we're here to talk about the much-anticipated World War Z. We've all just seen it. Who wants to start us off?
Well, the script was written by a number of people, Matthew Michael Carnahan, J. Michael Straczynski, and then they brought in the Lost guys, Drew Goddard and Damon Lindelof.
I have been concerned with this movie since its inception. World War Z is a book written by Max Brooks, and that book is very difficult to adapt into a film. Sure. It went from being $170 million, ballooning into over $200 million because they needed a last act. They had no last act, so they brought in Lindelof and Drew Goddard to help out with that.
The story it's a decent story, particularly with such difficult stuff to adapt. You have to realize that this is not World War Z, the book. What it does is scale. We've never seen it on such a huge scale, and that's really what's phenomenal about this film. The story is really flimsy. This ex-UN employee, Jerry Lane, is traveling the world trying to find the origin and attempts to find a cure. It's a very bare-bones story for 3 reasons. To keep the PG-13 rating, to be able to easily distribute it internationally, and to not take away from the spectacle.
I think this film works particularly because of its breakneck pace. It's not necessarily about after the apocalypse, it's in the thick of it, it's ground zero. In some parts it's a little jarring because none of these characters really have any time to breathe or think about or talk about what's going on, but you realize that that's necessary. If there is any second thought, these guys are gonna die, they have to keep going, keep going, keep going.
Right. There's not a heck of a lot you can do with zombies. I mean, with vampires, there's different styles you can take. With werewolves, but with zombies, they can either run fast or run slow. It can be contained or it can be global.
It could have been so much more.
Exactly.
But because they're trying to keep it accessible for an international audience, for a young audience, they missed out on a lot of opportunities. Zombie movies usually have themes. 28 Days Later deals with religion and spirituality. Dawn of the Dead deals with consumerism. This one could have looked at global politics. It could have looked at the issue of globalization. Instead, those things are just excuses to be able to see zombies on a big scale instead of actually addressing any of these issues. And Brad Pitt is our star, and he also got a producing credit. And I think that he absolutely carries this film. The story is so flimsy, you need somebody of his caliber to be able to save it in the scenes when we don't have spectacle.
There isn't much to the character. I mean, he's fine, and he has that hunky kind of like, I'm gonna go save the world thing, but it's an everyman look as well. There was a point where I don't think the movie's boring, but I got tired because emotionally invested because I wanted something more. I mean, he drops his family off on a tanker or whatever, and we never see them again except for her answering the phone all the time.
I thought that it was important because we have Mariel Inush who plays his wife, and she's on the boat, and there are times where she wants to call him, but he is obviously involved in many tense situations that she has no clue about. And I think that's great because she's not playing this wife who's at home, who's crying, waiting for her husband.
Mark Foster does more exciting filmmaking with a PG-13 rating than most people do with an R.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I thought he did a great job. He did Quantum of Solace, and not a lot of people like that one as much, but he is great with actors. He's also done movies like Finding Neverland, so it's interesting to be able to see his handle on characters, but also being able to get this tension and this world and this scale.
Yeah, he does really well with tension and suspense, and I don't think a lot of directors today really know how to milk that for what it can be milked.
Yeah, I can honestly not tell you the last time a film has made me that nervous for that long.
The noise. Are they drawn to it?
Yeah. Sound draws them.
You fought any yet? Philly, Newark.
Good.
It was a proper building of the suspense. For example, Jerry is on the top of a roof and he's holding a door, keeping from zombies from coming out. We've seen something like that before, but he only has 3 seconds to go from the door to jump onto this helicopter.
Right.
And in those 4 seconds, you're like, oh, you know he's gonna make it.
Right.
No,
but
he's
it's
gonna make it.
extremely tense.
Let's talk about the CGI in this. I thought it was actually really good.
Yeah, the trailers looks silly. Like,
Yeah.
I would laugh at the trailers, but seeing it on the big screen, it's like,
Yeah.
this is actually really good.
Yeah, no, I was completely concerned about the CGI. I thought they were gonna look like the Smiths from Matrix Reloaded. I was pleasantly surprised and very happy that it did not look that bad.
And I think it's filmed too so that it's really so fast that you almost can't see if there is any flaws anyway because it's going at such a breakneck pace.
I mean, I would like to pause it and see just for fun, but as you see it all happening, just swarms of them running over each other, it looks realistic.
Yeah. World War Z doesn't really reinvent the zombie genre, but it's an entertaining spectacle, so I would say see it.
World War Z could have been so much more, but it's great for what it is. Simple, mindless summer fun. See it.
World War Z is the biggest zombie movie ever created. The suspense and set pieces make you forget the missteps. Definite see it.
Cheers.
Cheers!
Evil mastermind Gro has returned
That's right, baby! Crew's back in the game!
as a loving family man.
Never get older.
But the Anti-Villain League asks for his help to stop a dangerous criminal.
You know how a villain thinks. That's why we brought you here.
With the help of his minions, they set out to capture a madman.
With cool cars, gadgets,
How was it working?
and weapons!
In Despicable Me 2.
Hi, I'm Salim.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Brenna, and we're here to talk about the much-anticipated sequel to the 2010 smash, Despicable Me 2. We've all just seen it, so who wants to start us off?
The film was written by Ken Dario and Cinco Paul, who wrote the first Despicable Me, as well as Horton Hears a Who and The Lorax. The film's plot steals a little bit from some classic Alfred Hitchcock movies like To Catch a Thief and North by Northwest. I was not a big fan of the first movie, but I like this one a lot more. Maybe the characters have grown on me in the time since the first movie came out. I definitely was a little bit more open to it this time and enjoyed it more than I did the first time.
Interesting.
You know, I really loved Despicable Me, the first film. And this one, I enjoyed it for the first half, but the writing just fell apart in the second half.
No, I completely agree with you. I love the first movie as well. We had this guy who wanted to steal the moon, but we had many scenes as the movie progressed of why he wanted to steal the moon. And so we had an arc for this character. Whereas in this film, the arc is a little bit more muddy. There's a lot of questions. There's this villain that we don't really get to see until midway through the movie. Whereas in the first one, we knew the villain from the very beginning. And I thought that was very necessary because your movie's only as good as the villain.
And for me, the first film was really a ripoff of Toy Story meets The Incredibles. The Minions were just the little alien characters from the toy. You know, from the claw thing. Yeah. And so I thought that was kind of a ripoff, and then The Incredibles, rather than retired superheroes, retired evil supervillains, so maybe I wasn't expecting as much from this one, and that's why I was a little bit more pleasantly surprised.
But what I like about the first one is that it's a story about a guy learning to love, basically becoming a father. He just happens to be a supervillain trying to steal the moon.
well, this one is about a guy falling in love, so maybe that's the next step,
But you
the
know,
progression
this
they took with
one,
it.
he hates her, she helps him dispose of a body, and then they love each other. There's no development. It's just instant. The first one had development.
It's just not as tight as the first film. These girls really wanting Gru to find love, and I love that part of it because it goes back into this relationship that he has with these girls that I think is the most important part from the first film. So I was glad to see that explored a little bit more in this one. However, they forced in the minions a lot, and as a result, the story it seemed like it was going in many different directions and it didn't have a straight through line from the very beginning. Of course, we have Steve Carell as Gru. I love him and his quasi-Russian accent.
No. I am a father now, a legitimate businessman. For example, I am developing a line of delicious jams and jellies and preserves.
It's an original voice. A lot of big celebrity actors that do animation roles, they're just doing their own voice. At least Steve Carell takes a big swing at something and does an original voice, so I enjoy that.
Yeah, that's actually what, and I think another reason why I enjoyed Despicable Me 1 and this one, for what I did enjoy for this one, is that I'm not falling into this stunt celebrity voice casting, where there's no point in casting. I felt like I was watching like a 90s animated film where they actually hired voice actors.
Right, and Russell Brand's the same.
Exactly.
You can't tell that's Russell Brand.
I could not, I actually, after watching the first one, I went through the credits, I was like, oh, where's Russell Brand? Oh, Dr. Nefario. I rewound, and you could hear it once you know.
Right.
But it's you're looking for it, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we have Elsie Fisher, who plays Agnes, my favorite of the three girls. I'm sure everybody's favorite. I could watch a whole movie of just her just saying cute things.
Yay! This is the best party ever! When's the fairy princess coming?
Any minute now.
Yay!
Yeah, and Kristen Wiig, who played the lady who ran the orphanage in the first film, I thought it was interesting that they brought her back and cast her as the love interest, a completely different character.
There's a lot of character behind her voice, and it's really nice to see an unconventionally attractive, awesome, kick-butt woman as a love interest. You don't really see that very often.
Right.
But they kind of ruined it by damsel in distressing her.
They do at the end.
Yeah. This was directed by the team Pierre Coffin and Chris Renaud, and they did the first one. And they know what they're doing.
They're definitely at home in this family franchise that they've created. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's bright, it's beautiful, very colorful and vibrant, and the 3D is actually pretty effective.
The 3D is really good, and actually I would recommend anyone who sees the movie stay for the end credits, because I thought those are really impressive 3D effects that they do, and it's with the Minions, which I think we all agree are probably the best thing about the franchise. Some really cool, eye-popping 3D effects. I like 3D when it comes out at you, when it's not just giving you depth of field of the characters.
Yeah, the fun about these kind of animated movies is that they can do that. They can do the gimmick of 3D, and it fits in with the type of film that it is.
Kids are going to go crazy for this movie, and I think parents will somewhat enjoy it themselves, so I'm going to give it a qualified see it.
So the adult fans like me might want to wait to see it at home, but if you've got kids crying into their Minion dolls, definitely see it.
This is not destination viewing for animated features like Toy Story 3 or the first Despicable Me. However, kids are gonna love this movie. Definite see it.
To the Minions.
The entertainment world was shocked by the recent loss of a great talent, James Gandolfini. So in his honor and memory, our DVD picks of the week showcase his great talent. First is the Emmy Award-winning HBO series, The Sopranos.
Tell me about the soprano temper.
Well, the thing is, it's bad for business. Clouds your judgment. See, we forget that in the old days, the ones that came over that started this thing, they didn't get mad. They just smiled and nodded and made sure you got it later.
Gandolfini's incredible performance as a mob boss and a family man earned him 3 Primetime Emmys, a Golden Globe Award, and a devout cult following. For Gandolfini's feature films, we recommend the political satire In the Loop, directed by Armando Iannucci, the creator of the HBO show Veep.
General Flintstone, have you even killed anybody?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, falling asleep on someone, that doesn't count. I will marshal all the forces of darkness to hound you to an assisted suicide.
This is the problem with civilians wanting to go to war. Once you've been there, you never want to go again unless you absolutely have to. It's like France.
So there you have it, 2 great examples of James Gandolfini's unmatched talent for your home theater entertainment. James, we'll miss you dearly.
Based on a true story, Oscar gets a head start on his New Year's resolutions. He decides he will be a better son, father, and boyfriend.
You're gonna go to Frisco, right? See the fireworks?
But a chance encounter at the train station
Oscar from Pharmacia?
changes him forever. In Fruitvale Station.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
Hi, I'm Salim.
And I'm Leah, and today we're here discussing the new film Fruitvale Station. We've all just seen it. Why don't I start? Fruitvale Station is the debut film from Ryan Coogler. It is the story of 22-year-old Oscar Grant, the last 24 hours of his life on the last day of 2008. So in the interest of disclosure, I think that we should say up front that I am a friend of the filmmaker, Ryan Coogler.
Me too. I also am a fan. I went to school with him.
And I've never met him, but I've heard of him. And now everyone will.
A lot of USC people around, so yes, a lot of people know Ryan Coogler.
This event was recorded on people's cell phones. A bunch of people were there when this happened, and it went all over the internet, and there were protests, and some people made him out to be a saint, and other people made him out to be a thug, and said he deserved it. And the purpose of this film, according to Ryan Coogler, is to paint him as a person.
And it's very mundane. It's going through his day of going to buy crab legs for his mom's birthday, trying to get his job back, very small things. But in these small things, we are able to see this fantastic character, this fantastic person whose life was cut way too short.
I think that Fruitvale Station is a deceptively subtle film. And the payoff in the film is not just in the end, because we all already know how the ending is, but it's that once you get to the end, you reflect back over the last 24 hours.
There's a father-daughter scene that is very sweet and very touching, but they let it play for a very long time. I got it, and not just in the Hollywood sense I got it, but like I felt for him. I understood he is a great father. And then when you let it play so long,
I don't think
feel
that's
like
the point of that scene. That's
I
not
feel
the
like
point
it's
of that
still
scene.
it's foreshadowing, but it's foreshadowing so strongly that it's like he's gonna die, it's gonna be sad.
Foreshadowing completely out of this movie. You can't foreshadow the death when we already know he's gonna die.
But you can focus on it too strongly.
It's important to note that the movie begins with cell phone footage of Oscar Grant being killed. We already know what the end of the movie is going to be, so the entire movie is building tension and suspense for this character. The entire movie is building this likable character that we're going to miss by the end of it, and I think that's important. That's exactly what Ryan Coogler was trying to do. He's trying to flesh out this full character that not a lot of people often see on television or even in their neighborhoods, because they only see an image that is bombarded, which is false.
To that effect, this movie does do exactly that.
Let's talk about the acting a little bit. We have Michael B. Jordan, who plays Oscar Grant. He's incredible in this movie. I think he gives a tour de force performance. He's done Friday Night Lights, he's done Chronicle, he's done many different things.
The Wire.
It's incredible because he creates such a full character that by the end of this film, you feel like you're losing a friend.
Michael B. Jordan's range is on full display here. And we see everything from his playfulness to really being a big kid to an explosive temper, the flashback scene, and his contemplative moments. With the right handling, he could be the successor to Denzel Washington's
I agree.
throne. What about Melanie Diaz and Octavia Spencer?
I love them because they had to play such deep roles. Both these female characters are completely supportive of Oscar Grant.
Melanie Diaz is his girlfriend in the film, and she's been cheated on by him, but she has to forgive him, and she has to nag him and get him to do the right thing, and she is such a deep character. She never seems whiny, even when she literally has to do that.
To know Oscar Grant is to know the mother, and seeing the mother, seeing her personality is important, because that's another view that we don't get of Black men or Black families.
I'm in here by myself.
I love you, Oscar.
You don't love nothing.
I do. And I'm praying for you. I'll see you when you get home.
Get my hold up. Let me get a hug, Ma.
So let's talk about the writer-director, Ryan Coogler. He is the only person who could have told this story. He's a young black man from the same area that Oscar Grant died. And honestly, Oscar Grant could have been him or his friends. And because of that, he has this unique perspective.
Small character pieces that really kind of shine a light on the small things in life are important and are entertaining. And I think he does a really good job of not being overwhelmed with so much stuff that goes along with being a first-time filmmaker, and he delivers an impressive first film.
There are a few unnecessary scenes, but the story is important and compelling. I give it a see it.
By stringing together our small, daily, intimate moments, Fruitvale Station is able to demonstrate life's big tragedies. I say see it.
Ryan Coogler successfully turns Grant from being this political figure into simply a man with flaws who loves his family. Definite see it.
Cheers.
The outlaw Butch Cavendish kills a posse of Texas Rangers out to apprehend him.
Give me your hand!
But when John Reed survives, he decides to capture the criminal that killed his brother.
If we ride together, we ride for justice. Justice is what I seek.
Along with the spirit warrior Tonto, they unite to save the day in The Lone Ranger.
Hi, I'm David.
Hi, I'm Zoriana.
And I'm Aaron, and today we're here to talk about the newest outing from Johnny Depp and director Gore Verbinski, The Lone Ranger. We've all just seen it. David, tell me what this movie's about.
Well, it's a throwback to the original television series from the 1950s, The Lone Ranger, which was very popular, wildly popular TV show at the time.
Terry Ross and Ted Elliott, who wrote the script with Justin Haith, the three of them together just don't have a unifying voice. There are too many cooks in the kitchen. It is way too long.
Way too long.
Oh my God.
2.5 hours.
I literally almost fell asleep over 5 times.
I'll be honest with you, I really liked the first act. The setup of the characters, the beautiful and grand vistas that made me thought that I was watching a John Ford Western, and then it just disappears.
It was 2 hours before he really became the Lone Ranger.
Yes, he doesn't even decide on a name towards the end even, like they're still debating on the silver bullet and all that sort of stuff.
All that stuff that is sort of in our knowledge of the Lone Ranger, it takes them so long to get to it.
I think the biggest problem here is that the tone of the film. Is it a comedy? Is it a drama? Is it an action? Is it a Western? And of course you can have a mix of all of those genres. Pirates of the Caribbean was certainly a mix of action and drama and comedy. But in this case, to me at least, it felt like Johnny Depp and Armie Hammer were in a comedy together by themselves.
And also, you don't have a lot invested in the movie. About halfway through the film, I was looking at my watch and I was going, okay, I know how this movie is going to end.
The whole plot was telegraphed to me like 30 minutes into the movie. I knew every single twist that was going to happen in the entire movie. I knew how it was going to play out in less than an hour, and so I was just really uninterested.
To be honest, I wish they had started this movie at the point where these guys do ride off into the sunset and are now a team getting ready to go forth. Like, this is the backstory that, like, I didn't really need to hear.
Eyes cut by the bullets that killed him. From the great beyond, he will protect you.
You want me to wear a mask?
The men you seek think you are dead, Kimosabe. Better to stay that way.
What goes wrong is that there's just one set piece after another, and set piece is an industry term for this big action scene that doesn't have much connection to whatever plot there might be or character development, and it really interrupts the chemistry that Armie Hammer's character of John Reed, who's the Lone Ranger, and of course Johnny Depp as Tonto, they just don't seem to sync up during the movie.
Which is a bummer because the performances are actually okay. Yes. And Johnny Depp as Tonto is not the greatest, and yes, he's channeling Jack Sparrow.
But, exactly.
But there's funny things about him, and if there was a time that I laughed at all, it was because of him.
I feel like if you scrubbed off all of Tonto's makeup and took the dead crow off his head...
There's Jack Sparrow.
Exactly. There's Jack Sparrow.
Going somewhere?
Yes. No. No. Yes. No. Yes. No, we are not. Yes. No. Yes.
Shut up!
Yes.
I love bad guys in movies, and William Fichtner as Butch Cavendish is an excellent example of how the bad guy gets to steal the movie.
But that's the thing, you get a movie where a guy is like taking the heart out of someone's body and eating it. And then you have like Johnny Depp feeding a crow.
Which comes back to what you said.
You've got
like
serious villains and you got mustache twirling villains.
Right.
It's just like...
But we do have to give him credit as Butch Cavendish. Every time he came on camera, I was like, my skin crawled.
Yeah, no,
he was so
his
sleazy.
makeup's good. You know, that like hair lip thing that
right,
they
where
gave
he
him
was
in the
clearly cut.
gold tooth and all those little intricacies
The supporting
about it.
characters are great, but I just felt like in a movie like this, they were kind of mostly wasted. I mean, the actors were there to hit their technical beats as opposed to being let loose and actually have fun, because if Johnny Depp's gonna have fun, everyone else should be having fun in this movie.
I think we got to talk about the director Gore Verbinski at this point.
He's definitely a master of the action flick.
Absolutely.
He's really good at doing these grand scale films. There's no doubt about it that he's very technically competent. He knows how to create a look and carry it through.
And he knows how to spend money and put it on screen.
Absolutely. He knows where to put the camera at just the right place.
Yeah.
I found it really interesting.
He controls the pace of the film, and the pacing is way off. It's just dragging and dragging and dragging. And the technical elements of the film are fine. It's just you can't forgive the fact that the story doesn't really have a good through line and just stops and starts.
Fine performances and stunning visuals cannot save the lack of heart in this film. But if you happen to have 2.5 hours to burn at home, I say stream it.
Technically superb, story falls flat. Stream it.
All in all, The Lone Ranger was a supreme disappointment that suffered from having too many cooks in the kitchen. So I say skip it.
Wow, well, our votes add up to one full ticket, which is a stream it for The Lone Ranger. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hi-oh, Silver.
Don't ever say that.
On our next episode, we review The Bridge, a new drama from FX. And then we give you a break from the big summer blockbusters and offer up our foreign favorite films. We wrap things up with an interview with Bob Yeoman, cinematographer for Bridesmaids and the new comedy The Heat. Thanks for watching and see you next week.
And here, of course, is the new weapon you ordered.
No. I said dart gun.
Support for Just Seen It comes from Acorn, distributors of the detective drama Jack Taylor, starring Game of Thrones Ian Glenn. More information is available at acornonline.com/PTV. Support for Just Seen It comes from Warner Archive Instant, streaming hard-to-find movies and TV shows direct from the studio at WarnerArchiveInstant.com.